Hello everyone and welcome to another game that you guys requested. It was pretty much the most requested game from round 5 of yesterday's World Rapid Championship. We have Daniil Dubov versus Mr. Beast. I'm only kidding. It is of course the youngest ever Dane to achieve the title of Grandmaster, Jonas Buhl Bjerre. We've featured him on the channel quite a few times already and always showing good games. And this one is no exception. This is, I mean, it's so amazing to watch such a game being played that I can only imagine what it's like to play such a game. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know as I cannot play at this level. But I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's truly a feast for the eyes. So let's check it out. Jonas with the white pieces opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to c5 by Daniil, again going for the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, we have pawn to d6 and bishop to c4, so sort of avoiding the main line, but nowadays in faster time formats, I guess you could say everything is a main line. Knight to c6, we have castles and knight to f6. We have rook to e1, preparing some maybe e5 ideas in the future, e6 and bishop to b5. It is more common to retreat with bishop to b3, but here we have bishop to b5 and Daniil unpins bishop to d7. We have pawn to c3 and pawn to a6, chasing away the bishop and bishop back to f1 as it is usually played, so nothing new here. And it's a pretty standard position where bishop to e7 is the move that is played here. But here we have pawn to e5 by Daniil, and it is now as of move 8 that we have a completely new game. So okay, pawn to h3, stopping anything from coming to g4, but also weakening the king side a little bit, and that is more than enough for Daniil to convince him to attack your king. And he just goes pawn to g5. He says pawn to g4, g4 is coming next, and well, best you can do is to capture the pawn on g5. And indeed, it always is best to just capture this pawn. So knight captures, we have rook to g8 and pawn to d4, opening up the center and defending the knight on g5. Pawn to h6, chasing away the knight, and now you could move the knight back, something like knight to f3, but bishop captures on h3 just looks like something you shouldn't allow. However, with the bishop on f1, our good friend the engine says that this is the best you have, but not for Jonas. He goes knight captures on f7. It's a rapid game, so this is definitely the way to play chess, and he manages to confuse Daniil. It's best to play king captures on f7. But it's hard to say, you know, when you have two attackers like these playing, it's hard to say what is best. What is objectively best is never the best. I will, however, show, it's one of the few lines I'm going to show this video, but the point is it's very complicated. After king captures, bishop to c4 check. Okay, you want to win some material, so pawn to d5. E captures on d5, and, well, not d captures on e5, E captures on d5, attacking the knight, knight to a5, attacking the bishop, and now d captures on e5, bishop captures on h3. You could also play knight captures on c4. This is even more precise because the bishop moved from f1, so g2 is hanging. Let's say pawn to e6 with check, king to e8, and it looks nice, but white has nothing here. If anything, black is winning. You have to bring the bishop back, and now the queen captures on d5. You've eliminated white's strong center. There is nothing there. So after knight captures on f7, this is exactly what Daniil should play, but he finds a different idea. Queen to e7. We have bishop to c4 now, defending the knight. C captures on d4, C captures, and now knight captures on d4. Knight captures on d6 with check, opening up a discovery towards the rook. Queen captures on d6, and now bishop captures on g8, winning some material. Knight captures on g8, and queen to h5 with check. Now, there's no way to defend checks, so you have to move the king. King to e7, and now knight to c3. Going for knight to d5 check, so of course you have to stop this. Knight f6 attacks and defends. Queen to h4, now pinning the knight. Now knight to d5 again becomes a threat. So king to f7, unpinning, and now bishop captures on h6. Some other moves were also possible. Bishop captures on h6 is okay. We have bishop captures on h6. Queen captures on h6, and now Daniil brings the rook into the attack. Rook to g8. We have rook to e3. Always a good idea to have that h3 pawn sufficiently defended as the queen might move. Rook to g6, attacking the queen, and now queen to h4. Here, queen to h8 is the way to look for advantage and maybe some potential winning winning advantage. But after queen to h4, the game is now once again equal. But what happens next is anything but equal. We have queen to b4 by Daniil, putting pressure on b2. Rook to g3, now offering a trade of rooks. We have knight to f5, offering a knight as the queen on h4 is undefended. And now knight to d5. And what is happening here? What is this move? The white queen is hanging, the white rook is hanging, the black queen is hanging, like so many knights in the middle of the board, you can't even see what's not hanging. So queen to d4. It seems that Daniil figured a way out of this mess to get himself into a winning position. The queen is hanging, the rook is hanging, and there isn't a move inside that can save Jonas, or maybe is there? There is only one, and I'm sure you guys see it without even pausing the video, and that is e captures on f5, sacrificing the queen. So okay, there's nothing better for Daniil now. He has to accept the queen. Queen captures on h4, and now f captures on g6 with check. We have king to g7, and now the immediate knight captures on f6, where if the king captures, then you allow the pass pawn to start marching forward. So queen captures on f6, and now rook to e1. Also, maybe rook to c1, rook to d1, not so much because the bishop just comes to c6 and the d7 square is guarded. So rook to d1, well, it does come with tempo. It's not a very useful tempo. So rook to e1. And in terms of material, it's not. It doesn't seem that Jonas has enough because a queen and bishop versus two rooks. Of course, a queen and bishop is much stronger. But the defended pass pawn on g6 and the potential h4, h5, h6. Makes it much more dangerous. And the situation on the clock is okay. Dubov almost 9 minutes. Jonas 3 minutes on the clock with bishop to f5, hoping to capture that pawn, and now pawn to h4. Bishop to f5 basically forces h4 because if you didn't play it, then something like rook to e4 probably allows h4 and then h5, and then white is just winning. Or maybe, you know, it's a draw regardless, but it's a pretty crazy position. Pawn to h4, giving up the h4 pawn. So queen captures, we have rook captures on e5, queen back to f6, and now rook to c5, asking, are you maybe interested in a nice pawn here? And while the pawn can be captured after rook c to g5, you can just resign because, you're going to start capturing, and it's going to be king and pawn endgame, but as you can see, white is up 2 pawns, so that's not going to work. You can even capture one of the pawns. It's not going to be enough, so that will be winning. So instead, after rook to c5, queen captures on b2 right away. We have rook to c7 with check. It seems like you can capture the bishop, but queen b1 check picks up the rook, and then it's black who's winning. So after queen captures on b2, we have rook to c7 with check, king to g8, and now pawn to g7. And now it's merely a matter of can Jonas give a check. c8 is covered, c8 is covered, so there's no rook to c8 check. If there was, just check, king moves, and you promote to a queen, and you win the game easily. So queen to d2. Dubov has to figure out a way out of this. Rook captures on b7, now threatening a check, and then the g8 square is covered. The pawn promotion will be game over. Queen to c1 with check, king to h2, and queen to h6 with check. King to g1 and queen to c1 with check. So if Daniil wants, he can claim a draw here. However, king to h2, we have queen to f4, not going for a draw, but guarding that f8 square. B8 square, and now rook to f7. And it seems there's no way out of here because rook to f8 is coming next, and you're just going to get checkmated, or king captures rook, and then the pawn promotes to a queen. But look at this, queen to h4 with check, king to g1, and now is it over for Daniil, or is there maybe something that there can be done? Feel free to pause the video and try to find the only move for Daniil that doesn't lose while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding this nice idea. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, of course, Daniil has to give back the queen, and queen captures on g3 is the move. And it doesn't matter what white plays, you will have to give up the second rook as well. F captures on g3, and king captures on f7. And now it seems that Daniil is winning, But if you look at one very important fact, you will see that that is not the case. Daniil is up a piece, however, he only has one pawn, and that pawn queens on a dark square. He has a light square bishop, and the only thing Jonas has to do is bring the king over to a1. Once the king is on a1, there is no way for Daniil to get the king out of the a1 square, and we all know there's going to be a draw. So it doesn't matter how you play this. A couple of more moves were played. Jonas brought a queen into the game and just started marching his king over to the queen side. He even gave up the a2 pawn, as it doesn't matter. King a3, bishop c6, and after a couple of more moves were played, here king to a1, king to b3 was played, and here it was a draw, as it is stalemate. The bishop prevents the king from coming to b1, and that's all there is to it. And for those of you who maybe are not still clear on why not just try to win this pawn, once it gets all the way to a2, you can even give up this pawn, doesn't really matter. Once you get to this position, you will have a choice whether to allow the king to remain on a1 and, you know, play a million moves with the bishop, or you will finally have to push this pawn to a2, and then you will stalemate the white king. That's the reason, and of course both of them know this, and that's why the position was agreed to a draw after king to b3. It's not agreed draw, it's there are no more moves, it's an actual stalemate. So yeah, very nicely played. Very nice try by Jonas to sacrifice his queen, and you know, it wasn't like an attempt where you had a million options. It was you either play that or you know, you lose the game. So brilliant stuff from Jonas, and also nice find by Dubov, giving back the queen, as it was the only move not to lose the game. So beautiful clash, and in the end, well, we could say that neither player is very satisfied, but or maybe both of them are, you know, it's hard to say. And for those of you who haven't seen my previous video, here are the standings after the first day. 4 people on 4.5 points. Voldar Murzin, Shan Sargsyan, Linier, Dominguez Perez, and Daniil Naroditsky, 4.5 points. Then with 4 points, Raunak Sadvani, Anish Giri, Sam Sevian, Levo Naronyan, Nodrivek Abdusatov, Ray Robson, Yang Shistov Duda, Arjun Erigeis, Hikaru Nakamura, Javokir Sindarov, Kazibek Nogerbek, Maxim Vashelagrav, and Shahriar Mamedyarov, and well, and so on and so on. But it's going to be a very, very interesting second day, and Magnus still on 2.5 points. Will have to go on one of his famous winning streaks. But yeah, a beautiful game. Thank you so much for suggesting it. In round 6, Daniil is facing Denis Lazovic, who is the only player to defeat Magnus Carlsen on the first day, and Jonas is facing Shanglai Lu. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Keep suggesting, and I will keep showing some very nice games. So yeah, once again, hope you enjoyed that. I would like to thank Bartelt Kroll, Lawrence Brazer, Frank Pluy, Timothy Rosen, and Mark Henley Brennan for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.